Rev it up, Surly here, back from Sydney and ready to rip and tear. She was a great trip, not a great result, which we'll touch on shortly, but regardless of that Golden Point heartbreak, still really enjoyed my time in Bondi. Actually took it pretty tame, dealing with a little bit of a niggle in my leg, so stayed off the booze to get ready for a big semi-final this weekend. The mighty coat, the time has come. We've had a bye, then we had the week off from the quarters because we finished in the top two, but now we get to lace up. The anticipation is over, taking on Takapuna at Northcote Rugby Club, 2:45. If you're not up to much, you live in the Auckland region and you enjoy watching some grassroots code. Should be a heck of a game, two proud clubs and two great rivals too, and our first home semi for Northcote since 2018. So fair to say they've been few and far between. Looking forward to that day. Weather looks good too, so hopefully she's some running rugby and it should be a great clash. And shout out to Mahurangi as well. In that other semi-final, they advanced by knocking over Massey in the 3rd vs 6th quarter-final. So now it's North Shore who finished 1 up against Mahu who finished in 6th in that second semi. You always love to see an upset in a team that hasn't played finals footy for a bloody long time. So I salute them. A massive result there. So fingers crossed she's not Super Sunday Mad Monday for the Northcote lads this weekend, and we'll get the opportunity to go again next week in the big dance. Man, would that be bloody exciting. Shout out as always to the legends at the TAB. Really appreciate their support. If you're having a flutter this weekend, make sure you download the TAB app or head along to their website. As always, gamble responsibly, but there's so many options for you to have a cheeky go on. NRL, State of Origin, International Rugby with the All Blacks and co. all in the mix. UFC Fight Night, the Cells, NBL, the MLB. Literally something for everyone. So like I said, if you are having a punt this weekend, then get around them because they get around us and we really appreciate it. And shout out to Better Bear as well. Really appreciate their support, the official bear of the Surly Talk Sport podcast. But without further ado, plenty to tuck into, including a recap of my trip across to Sydney. So let's get into it. How bloody good. NRL round 18. Shit, what a hissing weekend of footy. Some great games in there. Back-to-back golden pointers on your Super Saturday. Tough result for us to swallow as Warriors fans. We'll tuck into that shortly. But plenty of other big talking points that have arisen as well. Of course, Vegas was confirmed on Tuesday as well. So we'll kick things off there. Why not? I went a week early with that announcement last week. So good to see it did come through. Shit, I would have copped it from all of you guys if there'd been a late backflip and the Wars weren't going, but massive scenes. We're heading over. One thing I was surprised at is our opponent for this game. I had it down as the Panthers well and truly. I thought it was going to be Fisher Harris up against his old side, Webby up against Ivan. There's so many nice narratives there. Have it on good authority. The NRL wanted that too, but neither team wanted to be the home side. So of course, Magic Round, that counts as a home game for us, which is great for our revenue. But Cam George said we're not taking another home game away from Mount Smart and our members. So if we're going to Vegas, then it has to be on the principle that we are the away side. Turns out the Panthers, they were saying the same thing. They didn't want to sacrifice a home game either. The Raiders, they were willing to do so just to get on a plane. The Green Machine, they're hungry to get over to Vegas, and it works quite well too. Of course, the Las Vegas Raiders are the NFL side, so surely they'll pick up a couple bandwagon fans there just off the back of their name, but good on them. They've stepped up, taken this as a home game. It then also means that we get to keep that Magic Round matchup against the Panthers at Suncorp, which has been a real bums on seats spectacle over the last couple of years. So we'll take on the Raiders. The Panthers, they will take on the Sharks. There's also a test match thrown in the mix for the females with the Jillaroos taking on the Lionesses of England. A real shame that it's not the Kiwis, but I do get it because there is also a Super League clash in there. The Wigan Warriors, the fake Wars, up against Warrington Wolves. So you're going to get English fans travelling already for that. Chuck them an international too, and it kills two birds with one stone. I'd still love to see that World Club Challenge game built into this. I think that would be a great spectacle to get around as well. But great to see a full weekend of footy, 4 great games. Can't wait to be over there in Vegas. The NRL, they've already launched their packages. I think it was close to 5K starting price. price. I do believe the Warriors are launching their packages maybe later this week, early next week. So get around that if you're a Warriors fan. Chartered flights straight into Vegas. It's something you don't want to miss. Really is bucket list stuff for all Warriors fans and rugby league fans. Going to be one of the great benders as well. The footy, it's almost secondary, but the fact we get to go watch our team play code over in America, it's something I never thought would happen, and I certainly won't be missing that. I'll be sure to organise a couple steam ups too, a little bit of a meet-up for Surly and One Take listeners, and we'll rip into some tins. Unreal stuff. In terms of the big results from last week, shout out to the Titans and the Manly Gulls for both getting the upsets. Manly, Golden Point City, Daly Cherry Evans steps up and bangs one over after missing an absolute sitter a couple minutes before. The Cowboys certainly had their chances to win this game. Chad and Val, I think between them they missed 5 or 6 attempts. Couldn't understand why Scott Drinkwater didn't step up and have a nudge either, because he was the one that banged a hissing 2-point field goal to send it into overtime. Absolutely sent it over the black dot, but he didn't get the opportunity come Golden Point, which didn't really make sense to me. But well done to Manly, a big win for them up in Townsville, and it continues that impressive record. They haven't lost there since 2016, so certainly got the wood on the Cows. The Sharkies, they lost to the Titans, and they've now lost 5 of their last 6 games on a bit of a slide. And to make matters even worse for them, Nico Hines out for 8 weeks, broken leg and a Liz Frank injury. Bloody tough scenes. There's every world where I see them dropping out of the 8 for sure, which will be great for us because it opens up another spot in the finals footy mixer. I feel so sorry for Nico. He's a heck of a bloke. He's been copping it in the media ever since Origin as well, which didn't quite work out for him. Sharkies have been poor. His form at Clubland hasn't been amazing. Missed a couple big kicks to win them games. Now he suffers this. At the same time, it could be good for him. A bit of time away from the game to clear the head and come back as the footballer we all know he is. Shout out to the Bunnies. They're 5 on the bounce now. A great win for them up against Parramatta, 32 points to 16. They're really going to miss Latrell though, who picked up an injury in this game. Another Liz Frank. Fuck a Liz and Frank running amok at the moment. A big up yours truly from me to both of them, because now he's out for Origin, which we'll touch on shortly, but also going to be a massive loss for the Bunnies, who are now just 2 points out of the 8 and climbing the ladder quickly. A big game for them tonight up against the Dolphins. They're still in a sniff of playing finals, which if you'd said 6 or so weeks ago when they were sitting at the bottom of the ladder, the turnaround they've had ever since they announced Wayne Bennett was back, ever since they got their team back to full health, and then the interim coach as well, they've gone on to do great things. So can they keep that streak alive tonight? A tough test, but I think they'll be feeling fairly confident. Then their opponents, Parramatta, they were woeful, sitting in 16th on the ladder. They should be so much better than what they are. Their roster is pretty stacked when you got names like Dylan Brown, Clint Gutherson, Mitch Moses in the backline alone, Will Penasini, Blaze Taulangi as well, and then a forward pack with Junior Polo, Regan Campbell-Gillard, Sean Lane, Bryce Cartwright. There's no way you should be in wooden spoon contention, and I think they're only out of 17th by about 6 points on points differential up against the Tigers too, so it's bees dick stuff for them. Positive though, they have locked in their new coach and Jason Rolls. Trent Barrett, not the guy, so I'm glad they didn't make that decision. Interesting to watch though, couple big players that they could potentially get or lose. And Zach Lomax, who is of course already signed, but he has a clause in his contract that he can backflip on that deal if Brad Arthur wasn't the coach. Of course, Brad, he's been given the sack, shown the door. Dragons playing good code now. Does Lomax perhaps think, fuck that, I'm not going there? And then someone they could get, Stefano Utoikamanu, of course, the Tigers enforcer, this young thoroughbred prop. He's on big money. The Tigers are keen to keep him, but they don't want to upgrade him even further. And there's chat. He'd be happy to go back to Parramatta, the club that he debuted for, so that does have that sentimental pull there. There's also chat though, Melbourne have met with him, Bellamy's keen to get his hands on him, and shit would he turn into an unreal player under old Bowser and under that Storm system. So something to watch for Para fans. Speaking of props going great guns, Jared Waerea-Hargreaves, shout out to your horse, 307 games. He became the most capped Roosters player ever to achieve that milestone in the middle, playing the type of footy that he does. No regard for his body, just loves to bash blokes, fries into everything, a true enforcer. It's pretty wild. The durability on the bloke is through the roof. It probably helps he's spent a season plus out with suspension, so he's known to give his body a little rest, but it was a trademark shift from Jared up against the Dragons, set the tone from the start. Poor Francis Molo, I'm not sure what he'd done to him in the past, but man, he was out for his head. Got him in a doozy too, a high shot, ended up in the sin bin, came back, cracked his head, bleeding, and as a result of that high shot too, he's got himself a 4-week suspension. So that was a true vintage Jared shift on this historic day. Bin, bleeding, suspension. What more could you ask for? Hate him or love him, he's tough as shit and not someone I'd like to run it straight at. And I was cracking up pre-game. They were talking about him, so they cut to him in the warm-up, and he's just in there doing run it straights with Connor Watson. Every time he ran into contact, he had the elbow up, hitting Connor just under the jaw in the neck. The bloke is a menace. Even in warm-up, he's out to take out guys' throats. Not someone you want to play against, but everyone says he's the ultimate lad as a teammate. So well done to JWH. He's been great in the Kiwis jersey too. So a great milestone achieved there. Origin squads, plenty going on there, so let's tuck into those as well before we wrap up the Warriors game and that heartbreak at a core. For Madge Maguire, she's a pretty settled side, a couple changes, one forced through injury and then one due to form. Bradman Best, he comes in with Latrell being out, and then Mitch Barnett comes in with Haumole Olakau'atu dropping out. For me, Best, yes, it sucks to lose Latrell. His presence alone in camp and on the field sends shivers up the Queensland players' spines, and his loss there can't be underestimated. In Bradman, though, we have a pretty good replacement. He's a powerful ball runner. He's rocking double sleeves, got a leg sleeve and an arm sleeve tattoo, and in a nice touch, they're actually on opposite sides of the body too. Left leg, right arm, which just shows that he's a balanced bloke as well. He went great guns in his Origin debut last year, and I trust him to do a job. Tommy Turbo, his name was thrown in the arena, so was Joseph Suaalii. I don't think Tommy's played enough football since coming back from injury to force his way in over Bradman, who's been playing great code for the Knights. And then you got Joseph, who's fresh off his 4-week suspension, and I just think the media hype around him versus Walsh, redemption, Queensland going after him, I think it would have been too big of a distraction to pick him. So I do think Madge made the right decision here. Matty Burton, I believe he's on standby. Bradman coming in with a hamstring niggle, but by all accounts, he'll be good to go. So sucks to lose Trowell, a massive weapon gone from our duffel bag, but in Bradman, we have a more than capable replacement. And then you get to Mitch Barnett, and I just love this, not only because he's a warrior, but also because of the balance he brings to our bench and the rotation. I feel sorry for Haumole. Don't think he did anything that warranted not getting selected for this game, but when you look at Angus Crichton and Liam Martin, you have two 80-minute second rowers there that can both easily go the distance, and they're probably the two best second rowers in the competition at the moment. So if you're bringing Haumole on, it's likely you push him to the middle, as we saw in game 2. He's not a middle forward, he's a second rower. He's more than capable of doing a job there, but in Mitch Barnett, you get a middle specialist who can also cover the second row, and I think that's where he does his best work. Add in the fact he's in crazy form, he's built for Origin, and you have the perfect recipe right there. Imagine being a Queensland middle forward about 20 to 25 minutes into the game, you're starting to tire, you look across to the sideline, and there you see Mitch Barnett and Spencer Leniu holding up their interchange cards, ready to get their boarding pass into the game. Fuck that for fun, seriously. Those two are going to wreak havoc off the New South Wales bench, and it's almost an improved bench from the one that dominated the Queenslanders in game 2 as well, which has us licking our lips. Mitch, he'll make history as well as the first player to debut for New South Wales from the Warriors. He becomes only our second Warrior to play for the Blues. Of course, Ryan Hoffman back in 2015, but he was already a part of the setup before he came over here. So you love to see that. Our 8th ever Origin lad. Congrats to Mitch, congrats to Kurt Capewell as well, who gets the start for Queensland. Both lads off the back of big shifts against the Dogs, so they certainly deserve it. For Queensland, a few changes for them. Gagai in, which is a little scary, I'm not gonna lie. Origin Gags, he's an absolute weapon, and I'm keen to see how he goes matching up against his Clubland teammate in Bradman Best. Xavier Coates and Taolangi, both of them are out, so Selwyn Cobbenco comes in, and then Valentine, the turnstile, shifts onto the other wing. A massive loss there of a kick threat for the Queenslanders and Xavier Coates. So often you see them last tackle, they kick to his side. He won't be up there towering over the top of Brian To'o and co. Ponga, he comes in for Jaden Sewer, who interestingly drops out of this side. I actually think he's been playing decent football, but Billy doesn't seem to agree. Kurdy Capewell, he gets the start in the second row, and that potential there for a Ponga and Walsh combo, shit is that terrifying. Silky, Razzle, speed, hotness. I'm not sure how Billy's going to play it and how it's going to work between the two of them. There's lots of chat. Ponga could come on in the middle in that 13 role as he's played before instance in Origin. But man, surely Payne Haas and co would be licking their lips at the thought of running at him. But on attack, those two sweeping and running at tiring bodies with their footwork and ball playing ability, it does have me a little rattled. And that photo of them together standing at halfway on Suncorp, that was iconic shit right there. Speaking of Queensland and Suncorp, personally, I think they're rattled. Billy Slater, what is he up to? He cancelled Queensland's media day, which is Origin tradition when you first come into the camp. New South Wales, on the other hand, though, they still did theirs. And not only did all 17 players show up, the extended squad too, your Burdens, your Hamolis, they were all there. It shows a united front. Billy, on the other hand, to me, this screams that he's shitting bricks. He's all fart and no poo, that bloke. Hoodwinked every Queensland fan that he is the coach to lead them into the promised land over the next few years. But come the decider at Suncorp, he's running scared. Cancelling media sessions 10 days out from the game. That is just outrageous stuff. Also, what's with his taglines this year? Probably some of the lamest shit I have ever heard in rugby league circles. He started with the "we're Queenslanders" as his answer to every question. Didn't make sense there. Then his best work for me came the other day when he was asked how Ponga and Walsh are going to play together. He said they'll come up with a plan over the next couple days, but that he was excited to see them get out there and get their footy on. What the fuck is that? Get their footy on. This isn't under sevens horse. Billy, he's shaking in his boots. He's rattled. He's making up sayings that don't even make sense. Game 2, domination. New South Wales living rent-free in his head. You just love to see it. He's making rookie mistakes. The bloke is falling apart. And I think he knows the writing is on the wall. New South Wales are going to win the decider. How bloody good. Then jumping across to the Warriors review, and man, we go from ultimate fizz-ups there down to the lows of the lows. Heartbreaking scenes, 13 points to 12. The boys went down up against the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Second period, a golden point. Burden shaves the uprights, and that gets the Doggies the 2 points. Walked away from this one proud of the lads and the way we played, especially with all the adversity that we faced. I was gutted the result didn't go our way, but I was also fuming at the referee and the bunker for one of the great missed calls, which I'll get to soon. Adversity, mentioned it came early. It actually started before the game, to be fair. Tohu ruled out with a wrist injury, out indefinitely as well. So Mitch Barnett stepped up as skipper, love that. Walker into 13, and then that also set the stage for Leka Halasima to make his debut. I've been going on about him for yonks, so that was the sign for me to fly on over. I didn't want to miss this moment in history. Packed the bags, grabbed the passport, and said, holy hecka, I can't miss Leka, and shit did he live up to the hype too. I've been saying he's a future household name. He's probably already become that off the back of that one shift right there. People comparing him to Sonny Bill type of spec. I would say hold your horses, he's still only 18 years old, but at the same time, he was outstanding. First carry, bumped off Hayward, turned him into a doormat, and straight away, he looked like he belonged in first grade. Then moved into the centres, a position where I believe he's played a little bit of rugby union throughout his time, but not a lot of league. So not only was it his debut, but he spent the majority of his time out of position. First grade's hard enough as an 18-year-old when you're playing in the spots that you're used to, let alone somewhere where you could feel uncomfortable. He was up on an edge with Bronson Jerry and Blake Wilson as well, two talented attacking threats. Almost scored one of the game's great tries to get us the win. Shit, did he show a good turn of pace and great footwork. Unfortunately held up, but that was a heck of a run. He finished with 7 runs for 108 metres in 37 minutes. That's a debut he can be proud of. Great to see his family made the trip over, and hopefully it's the first of many games for Lecker. I think that performance he put in has put him in the team sheet, in the 17, for at least the next couple weeks as well. Shit, are we stacked with young talent. I seem to harp on about it a lot, but when you chuck him, Jacob Laban, Zion Maul, Dimitri Sifakula, Ali Leotoa, Tanner Towers-Smith, Luke Hansen, guys like that who are all in the cup side at the moment, but playing well above their age. The next 8 to 10 years, future looks bright for the Wars, and I can't wait to see how all their careers unfold. Barnett, what a weapon. Touched on him as skipper. He played all but 6 minutes of the possible 89 minutes in this game, so he had a massive workload, and he just didn't stop the whole game. Finished with 266 metres from 24 runs. He had 86 post-contact metres as well, a try assist, 5 tackle breaks, 5 offloads, and 56 tackles with just the 2 misses. He's been doing this all year as well. It wasn't just a one-off performance. He sits 4th in the NRL in total post-contact metres, 14th and 4th amongst forwards for all run metres, and then 34th for total tackles made. He's an absolute weapon, and the thing that's impressed me the most, his ability now to call for the ball short side when there appears to be nothing on. Their numbers up on defence, it's a 2-on-2, a 3-on-3, but he just makes something happen, and albeit Marcelo had a shit ton of work still to do for that try he scored, but that was just eyes up from Barnett. He thought, shit, we're on here, 2-on-2, took out his defender, gave the ball to Mars, he bumped off a bloke and dotted down in the corner. I love this work from Barnett. We even saw him pull out the chip kick the other day, which is ultimate scenes right there. Touched before on adversity, keep using that word, but man, we were up against it. Our back three, they all went down in this game, and pretty early doors too. Dallin, he wasn't happy, got ruled a Category 1 HIA, but he passed his test on the field, so it appeared that was a misruling there from the bunker, the first of many of their mistakes. Chance Nickel Klokstad, Mr. Reliable, Mr. Save His Houses, he strained his calf early in that game, battled through until half-time, or just shortly after, but then couldn't keep going. NRL physio saying he could be out for about 4 weeks, which brings up an interesting scenario now, because of course Roger moved there in-game, racked up about 286 run metres as well. He was really busy, as he always is, whenever he wears the 1. Tain Tuopiki, he was the 18th man wearing the blue bib, so he couldn't come on. Earlier in the season when Chance was unavailable, we saw Tain play in the 1, and shit did he go good as well. So Webby now faced with a predicament. Does he roll with Roger there? Does he bring Tain back in and keep Rog in the centres? For me, a lot of it might come down to the availability of Rocco Berry and whether he's back post the bye, because you'd have to think Rocco and Adam Pompey at the moment, they're probably our premier centres. Then you could roll with Rog at the back. Or does he give Tain another crack? Keeps Rog in the 3 jersey. Watch this space. I'm glad it's not me making that decision. And to be fair, both are great options. Fuck, was Tain good against the Panthers when given that crack there as well. Curdy Capewell, thought he was outstanding. Said last week, I thought it was his best game in the Warriors jersey. This week, he took that to another level too. Played a lot of the game at centre, out of position. Defensively, he was amazing there. Shout out to Walks as well, who got through plenty of work. Ended up playing the game on the wing, finishing the game there. And I thought he was massive as well. But Capes, 14 runs for 126 metres and 34 4 tackles. Ever since being involved in that Origin camp, it appears that he's found a new wave of confidence, and I also thought Adam Fanua-Blake was massive, and he proved my theory right from the other week. I made the statement that I think Barnett makes Adam better, and whenever Barnett's in the middle with him, I think Adam just rises to the level of him as well. Well, he finished with 223 metres from 20 carries, 104 post-contact metres, PCMs through the roof, and 27 tackles as well. You could tell he was so invested in that game. So a great stint there in the middle from AFB. We had our chances to win this game. Ref put the whistle away at crucial times too. So let's get into that. Tamaire Martin hit late, hit high, 2 to 3 week suspension for Jamin Salmon, the weak-gutted dog. How the ref missed this call, and then even worse, how the bunker misses this call, it's just beyond me. Late contact, high, contact to the head, both players bleeding from the mouth. Surely straight away that is an indication that something interesting has gone down and it's worth having another look at. The fact then Graham Annesley comes out on his Monday recap and says, yes, the bunker got this one wrong, just adds even more fuel to the fire, because as a fan you go through your grieving processes, you're just starting to get over it, then that reinforces that we were robbed and it really pisses you off. It was interesting to hear Annesley say as well, the bunker cleared the contact. They didn't think that was high, which is pretty out the gate, but they didn't look into the timing of the tackle and see how late it was, which is just beyond me. Look, I can excuse the ref for making the wrong decision, so much going on live, but how the bunker gets this wrong and misses key facts like that is just crazy. You watch the footage, Tamaire doesn't even have the ball, so the fact Salmon's making contact with his head at that stage when the pass has already been thrown, surely that's an indication that the tackle was late. Adam G, of course, I was singing his praises off the back of his performance in the grand final last year. He was the guy in the bunker making this call, and I think he got this one horribly wrong, which just sucks to see. Lots of people calling on for 1NZ CEO Jason Paris to come out and make another tweet like he did last year, which seemed to flip the momentum and calls started to go our way. In my opinion, I think Jason's already gotten the big lift for this team and for our country, and it's time for some other sponsors to step up. I'm talking your Wendy's, your DTR, your Sky Sports. So the CEO of Wendy's, not sure who you are, but if you're willing to step up, make a bit of noise on X, maybe jump on Facebook, Instagram, and start calling out the referees. If it gets a bit of attention and we see a result off the back of it, then I'll make a pledge to eat only Wendy's for a week at some stage throughout the season. Get you some money back in the kitty for all your hard work. Surely someone needs to say something, because we just can't keep going on like that. And I do feel like as Warriors fans, we have this reputation, especially across the ditch, for just constantly blaming our losses on referees and poor decision making. But for me, it's valid. We cop a lot of shit calls, and at the same time, this decision literally did cost us the game. A couple minutes to go, right out in front, 20 metres out. It's almost a guaranteed 2 points off the back of a penalty. This was a game we really needed to win, and if we miss finals footy off the back of this result and just falling 2 points short, then shit is that going to hurt, and an apology from Graham Annesley simply won't be good enough. But back to the game, of course the lads gave it their all. It was a massive effort, summed up by our defensive stats as well. Barnett 56 tackles, Wade Egan 51, Jackson Ford, he made 41 off the bench, Dylan Walker 33 tackles as well. Fuck, it hurts not to win this game off the back of 2 golden point halves. We walk away with 0 points. At the same time though, I left the stadium feeling like we gave everything we had. It was a win-worthy performance and just shows that we can still go with these sides sitting right up the top of the ladder. There's still plenty to work on, but you can't coach Ticker. The boys dug deep despite everything going against us, and we gave ourselves a chance to win, which is all you can ask for. We just couldn't ice it, and to be fair, CHT, he had a few good attempts. I thought his first one went over. Of course, watching it live, you don't quite see the best angles. I was pretty much celebrating, as were the other Warriors fans. Then I thought Matty Burden's attempt went over. Turns out it went under. When I saw Roger sprinting towards the 20, I couldn't quite work it out. And I went out for dinner after the game with Josh Curran too, and he was saying even they thought it went over. So it was a real tit for tat game, a quality match, fast, physical, certainly felt like finals footy. Atmosphere was pretty hectic as well. Accor Stadium, she's not the best venue to watch a game at. Out in the middle of nowhere, quite far away. It's no Mount Smart, but shit do the Dogs get into it. 27,000 fans, still lots of empty seats. I think it holds about 60,000, but at the same time, they make plenty of noise. It almost seems like it's full. And shit are they a unique supporter base, the old Bulldogs fans. Not a lot of footy IQ between them, but man, are they vocal. I was certainly copping some banter. I was up in their face every time we scored points, and then that was ultimate salt in the wound stuff when Burden kicked the winner. But hey, it is what it is. That's what you do when you're a die-hard fan. So the lads get the bye this week. Comes at a great time for us as well. The lads can rest up. Hopefully Dell and Marcelo, they're back and ready to rip in. The lads can get away from footy for a few days before we kickstart a massive period where we look to go on a nice finals run. By my calculations, we need to win at least 6 of our last 8 games. 7 would be ideal, as that would get us to 14 wins. Over the next 3 games, we have Canberra away, then we come back home to take on the Tigers and the Eels. All 3 sides sitting right around us in the ladder. Those last 2 at home, we really need to win as well. So we need to go 3 from 3 here, in all honesty. Then we're on and we set ourselves up nicely. We've got that bye in the last round of the season, so we can't allow points for and against to come into the equation, as we won't score any points in that game. So we need wins. 6 out of the last 8, 7 would be ideal, and we're in and playing footy in late September. Let's certainly hope that that is the case. This week, bye-week football, 7 teams on ice, which sucks to see as fans of the game, but at the same time, Origin just round the corner next Wednesday, so you can cop it off the back of that, because that is sure to be a doozy. You got the Finns taking on the Bunnies tonight. No Jeremy Marshall-King for the Finns. Plath, he gets the first crack in the 9 jersey, and also no Hammer, so Trey Fuller comes in to wear the 1 jersey. Shit, is he a handy replacement as well. For the Bunnies, no Trell Mitt, no Cam Murray, but I like them here despite the Finns being at home at KO Stadium. You got Walker, Whiten, Cook, Kolomatangi all playing great code. I think the Finns are going to struggle without JMK at hooker, and I do expect them to slide down the ladder as the next few weeks progress. Friday night footy, just the 1 game, so not quite a full fizzer. You got the Sharkies taking on the Tigers. A bit of a poo slinger, no Hines, poor bloke, he's gone, so Tricky Trindle comes in to wear the 7 jersey. Tigers, they'll be confident off the back of a decent performance last week up against the Storm, and they'll be smelling blood in the water here, I reckon, so I don't mind them as underdogs, but I'll touch more on that in the punting segment shortly. Titans, hot to trot at the moment, playing good code, taking on Pera, who will be without Mitchie Moses, their star playmaker. Titans welcome back Jaden Campbell, AJ Brimson in 18th man jersey. I believe, though, just needs to pass a fitness test on Thursday, so today, and he will come into the team. I like the Titans here at home to get the dub. Broncos, Dragons, shit, Broncos really in trouble. Haven't won since Magic Round, and they're looking in danger of missing finals footy as well. Just 1 point ahead of us on the ladder. They need to win this game up against the Drags, who will be without Benny Hunt, so that should be a decent watch. And then Super Sunday, Manly taking on the Knights. The Knights, man, Madge hasn't done them any favours in a game that they need to win as well. Sitting in 9th on the ladder, so I think they're punching above their weight at the moment, but at the same time, it's so congested, so they should hardly feel safe. Manly, off the back of that win last week, no DCE, no Jakey T, but they have Tommy T, of course, Amoli Olakawatu, not required for Origin, so they've been a little less affected than they normally are, and I like them at home on your Sunday Arvo to come away with the chockies. So while the games are reduced, still plenty of great code on offer. Wednesday night, Suncorp Stadium, the stage is set for an absolute doozy there, so the pot will be next Thursday morning, and I'll recap that game, but get up the Mighty Blues, backing them in to get the dub, and up yours truly to all you Queensland fans. Billy's running scared, and you just love to see it. All Blacks got the win, 16-15 in a Forsyth thriller. Hardly a textbook performance, but at the same time, pretty much what you expect for the first test of the year. And I tried to warn people last week, this game was never going to be a 13-pluser. It was always going to be tight. England, they would have targeted this game. They were up for it. All Blacks first test of the year. England had already played a couple. If you're going to beat the ABs on New Zealand soil, which is bloody hard to do, then the first game is the one to do so. Catch us a bit rusty, and they bloody gave it a good crack as well. They got a physical forward pack with some good skill sets in there too. I thought Chandler Cunning himself put up his hand and showed that he is a genuine footballer, and probably one that got away from the New Zealand rugby system. I thought Marcus Smith and George Furbank played well as well. I felt sorry for Marcus, obviously battled with the rubber. Weird too, because normally he's pretty bloody accurate off the tee, particularly for Harlequins. You do have to wonder, maybe the occasion got the better of him. Of course, no wind in Forsyth Bar. They were playing under the roof. Did that throw him off a little bit? I'm not too sure, but it was pretty uncharacteristic for him. I thought other aspects of his game were really strong, though. Him and D-Mac, they're pretty much like for like, and I thought they had a great battle, which certainly lived up to the hype. For me, though, the key to the English display was their work defensively with that fast line speed, just trapping the All Blacks in the middle of the field, making it bloody tough to play our shape and to move the ball to edges, which is when we play our best code. Also, their ability to slow the game down. They took us from set piece to set piece. Throw a few fake injuries in the mixer, and it doesn't measure well for us. We like to play that up-tempo, fast-running footy, whereas England, they're happy to just go line out to scrum, to injury stoppage, and then rinse and repeat. And to be fair, I think it worked. It looked like the All Blacks lads were pretty frustrated at times. They couldn't get momentum in any rhythm, which is exactly what the English wanted. For the All Blacks, I thought a number of guys put their hand up and stood out. A few that would have been disappointed with their efforts as well. Cody Taylor in particular, I thought he really struggled, especially at line-out time, and our line-out was a shambles. So no doubt that's been a massive work on for coach Jason Ryan this week. Also thought Samipeni Finau didn't quite have the impact he would like around that physicality area. I thought he was a little bit off his game, so hopefully he gets another crack this week to show what he's got. For your standouts, Sevu Reece, in my opinion, he was the man of the match and my better bear best performance of the week from this game. Scored a try off that beautifully executed cross kick from D-Mac, kicked a hissing 50-22, which was more like a 70-22. Man, did he hit that sweetly, and not a lot of wingers have that in their game, and it's a great time to bust it out off the back of counter-attack. Quite often you can catch teams out, opposition back threes having a bit of a nap, and he banged that one perfectly. I thought he was great at ruck time too, managed to get a steal, and he was the first one on the scene on multiple occasions. He's almost like having another flanker in your side, and then a few of those shots he put on George Furbank, timed them perfectly. He certainly felt the wrath of Sevu's shoulders on multiple occasions. Your other players, I thought Stephen Petafeta was unreal, a close second in the man of the match stakes for me, despite him getting subbed for Bodie. I thought he played bloody good, and to be fair, I think that was a premeditated and predetermined substitution that was going to happen regardless of how good old Please Add Feta was playing. I thought he had his best game of the year so far, Super Rugby included, and congrats to him, because I can't imagine his headspace going into this game. I think he would have been pretty nervous. Previously, just had that 10-second stint against Argentina where they lost, so to bounce back in your second performance in the black jersey and put on a clinic like that, he was dangerous with ball in hand, strong kicking game, good defensively too, so well done to Stephen. A rare opportunity for him to wear the black jersey, and once Will Jordan comes back, that'll be his, but I thought he made the most of it, grabbed it with both hands, and I'll be interested to see where they go this week. I thought D-Mac, shot clock on his goal kick aside, I thought he ran the cutter well, and that match up with Marcus, like I touched on before, that lived up to the hype for me. On that goal kick and that shot clock dilemma, I noticed Eden Park, they've come out and said this week they're going to have a shot clock up on the screen so that Damien can keep account of how long he's taking. I do like this rule. It is a bloody interesting one though, of course. As fans of the game, we want to see ball and play, we want to see fast, entertaining footy, and this is a law variation that has been brought into the game fairly recently. For me though, there are a few kinks that they could iron out. The biggest one, I reckon, is making the time allowed for conversions and penalty kicks, the exact same. So currently, under the laws, you get 90 seconds to kick a conversion, and that starts the moment the try is awarded. Then you get 60 seconds to kick a penalty, and that starts once the skipper points towards the sticks. I like the rule. It stops teams from killing a shitload of time, but I do think maybe it should be 60 seconds for both, and personally, I'd like to see the shot clock start once the kicker gets the tee. So it allows for, say you score a try, player celebrating throws the ball up into the stands. That allows for that because that time off the clock can prove costly. It also allows for, say the tee boy's a bit slow to get the tee out there for penalties. It cuts out any time wasted there. You get 60 seconds from the moment you grab a tee. That should be plenty of time to go through your processes and bang the kick over. I'd be keen to hear your guys' thoughts though. It was a ballsy call from the referee. Technically, down to the letter of the law, it was correct too. So interested to see what the shot clock looks like. Surely Damien won't make the same mistake. At the same time, it would rattle you a little though. Goal kicking, it's so much about rhythm, repetition, going through your processes, having your routine. To have that happen to you, you can't help but rush yourself a little. So I'm keen to see how this plays out this week in particular. Other backs to stand out, I thought Mark Talia at his slippery best, bars and baby oil before every game, and it was good to see him just breaking tackles left, right and centre as well. For your forwards, Artie didn't miss a beat, scored a try ranging out wide, so that was a good little start to that top try scorer. Ruffy option I threw out, paying 31s. I thought that was big overs. If he scores again this week, shit, will he be in with a sniff, and I'll start to get excited then. But he was into everything in typical Artie fashion, as was bad boy Barrett, skipper Scotty Barrett. Physical, went hammer and tongs, never took a backwards step and roughed it up with that English forward pack, which is exactly what you need your locks to do in a game like that. I thought Patrick Tuipulotu was very strong there as well. Overall, you take the win. Wasn't exactly pretty. The last few minutes were as tense as it comes, but a dub to kick off the new era under Razor was a good outcome. You bank it, and if it had gone the other way, I think the New Zealand rugby public would have been in all sorts. So no doubt a bit of a relief from Razor, but still plenty to work on for this week's game, which is set up to be a doozy. The teams travel up to Eden Park, and our record there is ridiculous. It's been 30 years since the All Blacks last lost there. They've won the last 48 games straight at the Garden, which is a crazy record. That has to be right up there with one of the best winning records at home in professional sport, surely. So that alone is a massive factor for this game, and it was funny to hear the English talking about it at the media session, saying that they hadn't even thought about the All Blacks' dominance and their record at Eden Park. The fact you're bringing it up shows that it's living rent-free in your head, clearly, and I think that that will prove to be a big factor for me. I think the All Blacks turn it on this week. We've had the chance now to see how England's going to play. We'll be working hard this week to adapt and come up with ways to break down that rush defence, and I'm keen to see how Razor and his coaching staff go about it and the attacking methods that they cook up in order to get the result. I was gutted for TJ Perenara. He's been playing so well since coming back from his injury, and I thought he was playing well in that game too before going off. I feel sorry for him. Hopefully the results come back positive because it didn't look good at the time, but All Blacks coaches have said he's been moving pretty well over the last couple of days, so fingers crossed, not as bad as it looks. I was a little surprised to see Noah Hotham come in as his replacement into the squad. Folau Fakatava, for me, that clearly shows that he's now our 5th ranked All Black in New Zealand rugby, behind the 3 that's picked and behind Cam Roigard as well. Pretty crazy to think 2022, that was when he played his 2 tests for the ABs, and at the time it was an Aaron Smith Folau Fakatava combo, and it looked like Folau was going to be the guy to take us into the future. He was the incumbent that was going to take over from Nuggie when he called time. Big slip for him. I think he'll become eligible for Tonga as of next year as well, so that could be something to watch. But it did surprise me Noah got the nod. At the same time though, I do think moving forward, him, Cortez, Cam Roigard, they will be our 3 All Black halfbacks, all incredibly talented players, and man, are they going to have some great battles to wear the 9 jersey over the next 10 or so years. Man, are we stacked in the halfback position. In terms of changes for this game, I'm not expecting too many to be made to the team. I think they'll roll out a pretty similar side and look for an improved second performance and give the guys a chance to do so. I'm interested to see if they keep Perifeta at 15. I personally think he deserves to stay there, but I wouldn't be surprised if the plan all along was to start Stevie P in the first game, reward him for staying in New Zealand, make Bodie come back off the bench in his first test back, sub him just after halftime, and then Bodie gets the start in game 2. But Perifeta's performance may just have thrown a spanner in the works, and I think if it's not the same back 3 as last week, then that's pretty harsh. Originally, I also think they would have planned to rotate the wingers, but Sevu and Talia were pretty bloody silky, so interesting to watch there. The loose forward makeup is going to be interesting as well. Like I touched on before, I'd roll out the same 3 yet again, but they might experiment a little with perhaps an Ethan Backadder, a Luke Jacobson to come in, or maybe even a Bolter and Wallace Satiti to give us a bit more go forward in the 6 jersey and take on this physical England pack. I think Cody Taylor gets the nod again in the hooking role purely because of the makeup and the dynamic of the team. I think it suits us better with Almoa off the bench. He had a massive impact when he came into the game too, but I don't think Cody Taylor would have that same impact off the Rimu if Almoa started, so I think their hand is a little bit forced there with no Talkiaho. So overall, I think it's going to be a pretty similar 23 to go out there, and it's All Blacks 13 plus for me. The cobwebs have been blown off, the combos, they'll be starting to connect, the Eden Park factor, they were also training at Mount Smart on Tuesday, happened to go in for one take and got to catch a minute or so. It was a closed session, so I didn't want to hang around for too long or else I'll get moved on, and that would be quite embarrassing, but good to see them training at the spiritual home of rugby league and hopefully soaking up some of that Warriors mana. I think this is a game where we hit our straps and it'll be a tough night at the office for the English as we go 50 on the bounce at Eden Park. In terms of your other international games, Wallabies got the win over Wales, but it wasn't pretty. Tom Wright scoring a great individual try to help see them get the dub. South Africa, they got a good win against Ireland and probably the test of the weekend for me. That one had everything. 2 big physical forward packs going at it. Some of the collisions were massive. Ireland play that razzle style, and then South Africa have that balance of forward pack oriented, but also a great back line with plenty of attacking flair as well. Gotta say too, South Africa, shit do they do test match footy. Bloody well, there's such a passionate fan base. They had the plane fly over the stadium, decked in the South African colours before the game. Then post-game, some elite banter from the fans. Of course, Ireland, they were known for singing Zombie in the World Cup once they got their wins. The Springbok fans, they took that personally, changed Zombie to Rassie and sung that back to them after the full-time whistle was blown. But there's a nice rivalry forming between these two sides. They're both at the top of their games, 1 and 2 in the world at the moment on the world rankings. That game lived up to the hype, and I think the second test will do the same too. And then for your rugby championship sides, Argentina fell victims to France, and they went down in a bit of an upset there. So all those teams will play each other again this weekend. I'm thinking the Wallabies, they probably go out and look a bit better than they did last week, so I'll be backing them in to get the dub. That Ireland-South Africa game, I think that one will go down to the wire again. And Argentina, fuck knows with them. They got their South American flair. Will they show up and play some good code, or will France pull off upsets for the second straight week? That'll be an interesting watch as well. So plenty of international code to sink your teeth into. That All Blacks England game though, Saturday night, certainly the main event, Eden Park. Can't wait to watch that one. Right, you know the drill, green ticks on bet slips is always the goal whenever we talk punting, and shout out to the TAB for getting around this early pod. Headline sponsor, all that good stuff, but there's promos, boosted options, and power plays galore, so make sure you check them out. If you're punting with someone else, you need to take a good hard look at yourself in the mirror, because the TAB, they're the tippity top of the pops, so get around them. Huge weekend of results too, some good wins as well. Shout out to not many Mitch Kenny if you jumped on that that bet. Like I touched on, he was 2 from 2 in his previous clashes, scoring tries against the Broncos. He went the big lift, made that 3 from 3, paying $9.25 rugby league cents, you absolute beauty. All Blacks 1 to 12, I tipped that out. Titans dub, Manly dub, a couple nice upsets. Warriors on the line was the bet of the week. We hit same gamers in a couple NRL games, including that Storm Tigers one. Lots of green ticks. We love that, so let's see if we can run it back and go again. Get some good results. Thursday night footy, of course, she's a shortened round, as you're well aware. Finn's $1.60 favourites, and the Bunnies $2.35 underdogs. They're hot to trot, 5 on the bounce. The Dolphins have won 3 from their last 5 at KO Stadium, but the Rabbitohs, they've outscored teams 28 tries to 12 in their last 5 games. Rabbitohs winger Jacob Gagai, he scored 6 of those tries on a nice hot streak at the moment. The Dolphins have conceded at least 24 points in each of their last 5 games, so defensively they've been a little off, and I think this Bunnies attack could cause them headaches as well. So I like the Bunnies plus 3.5 on that line that's being offered up at $1.90. I also like Jacob Gagai for reasons I just stated at $2.10, and then Herbie Farnworth, the herbivore, to get himself some meat at $2.65. 2 nice anytime try scorers there. If you chuck that into a same gamer, so Bunnies on the plus 3.5 start into Gagai and the herbivore, that's paying $5.90. Missed by one, you'll get your money back as bonus cash as well. Huge fizz there. Friday night footy, Sharkies taking on the Tigers. Sharks $1.42 favourites, Tigers $2.85. Interesting to note as well, the Sharks, they were exactly the same odds last Friday night when they went down to the Titans, $1.42. Is that an omen? I think so. I'll be jumping on the Tigers personally. Stats suggest otherwise though. The Sharks have won 10 of their last 12 games against Benji's lads. The Tigers haven't beaten the Sharks twice in a season since 2014. Bet them earlier in the year, so can they snap that 10-year streak? For your try scorers, all signs point towards the Shark wingers. Sione Katoa, he scored 7 tries in his last 4 against the boys from Balmain. And then Ronaldo Mulatalo, whose twin brother makes his debut this week, I believe. He scored 33 tries in 31 games at their home stadium, which I won't mention because it's named after a rival betting company. But you get the drift. In terms of my best bets for this game, though, I like that Tigers plus 7.5 start at $1.90. I think that's way too much. Anytime you can get a line outside of a try, a converted try at best, then I encourage you to jump on board. Tigers 1 to 12 at $3.90 is juicy too. My best bet for this one though is either team to win by 12.5 points or less, that try bet option that I so often go back to in your rugby union. It applies to your rugby league as well. You can find it under the winning margin markets. That's paying $1.83, so I really like that shout. For your try scorers, Sione and Ronaldo, both playing short, but the stats on them suggest they're a good sniff. And then Galvin Klein, Lockie Galvin, $4.50. I think that's nice for something at a bit higher odds too. Super Saturday, Broncos $1.50, Dragons $2.60. The Broncos, they're on a slide, and their typical home fortress has proved to be anything but that this year. They haven't won a game since Magic Round, so it's been tough scenes for Billy Walters and the boys. They've only won 1 of their last 5 games at Suncorp, which this game will be played, and the Dragons have actually won 6 of their last 8 games against the Bronx. So interesting stuff there. Katoni Staggs, he's back of course, had the week off last week for personal reasons. He scored 5 tries in his last 4 games against the Dargons. The Dragons have only won 1 of their last 11 games without Ben Hunt, but that win came in their last Origin-affected game a couple weeks back, and the Broncos have averaged less than 12 points per game on attack since round 14, which is crazy shit, because when you think Broncos, you think high-flying offense, points galore, razzle-dazzle, fuck-it footy, stuff that puts bums on seats, but they've been well and truly off their game. The line for this one is 6. I don't mind that in favour of the Dragons. Again, though, either team to win by minus 12.5, that try bet option, I think is your best option at $1.80. For your try scorers, Dean Mariner, $2.30. Don't mind him there. Xavier Xavier Willison, he gets to start again with Payne Haas and Origin, of course. $4.40, crashed against the Warriors when he got the start. Can he back it up? A big body close to the line should prove tough to stop. And then big Luciano Leilua at $5.40. He's appealing for the Dargons as well, running a muck on that edge. I think he's a rugby league handful. The more I talk about it, the more I'm thinking Dragons, and that $2.60 is tempting. But yeah, either team minus 12.5 and that +6 line for the Red V get around them. Jaden Sewer, not a bad shout too. He'll be stinging after being dropped by Billy the Bush Poet. Super Sunday, Manly $1.40 favourites, Knights $2.95. This Knights team decimated due to Origin. Manly, they've won 9 of their last 11 games against the Knights at home. The Knights have won 4 of their last 5 away games though, so they don't mind going on the road. The Seagulls have won 5 of their last 6 at home, so all stats suggest they love playing at Old Four Pines. Jackson Hastings, he'll make his 100th NRL appearance, paying $5.50 for an anytimer. If you like yourself a cheeky little milestone bet, raise your bat and win you a bet on a slip as well. That's the good stuff. And then Anthony Seibold, he's only won 1 from his last 5 against the Knights, so a bit of a bogey side there for Seibs. I like Manly here. No Ponga, no Best, no Gagai, no win for me. For your best bets for your try-scoring options, Tommy Turbo, $1.68, named at fullback. I actually think there's going to be a late shift here. I see Tommy going into the centres, Lehigh Hopewadi moving back to fullback, and then Tommy Talau moving onto the wing, which has me thinking Tommy Talau at $2.40. That is an absolute steal if that switch does go down. I just think Seibs, he's going to be really cautious here. Tommy, 1 game back from injury. They mentioned they moved him there to lessen his workload. Surely you don't throw in that towel just after 1 week. So $2.40 for Tommy T, the part-time Potter. Get that on ya. And then for the Knights, I also think there's going to be a little bit of trickery here. Dylan Lucas, named to start in the centres. Kai Pearce-Paul, he's someone that's often been creeping his name onto my bet slip, and he hasn't delivered for us yet, but he did play a lot of centre over in the Super League. 6 rugby league bucks for him. If he gets a run in the 3 or the 4 jersey, I think that is paying way too juicy, so chuck him in as a little precautionary bet, because if he gets a late switch, those odds will plummet round to around $3 to $4. So at 6, he's bloody good buying. For your rugby union, All Blacks, England, no surprises, All Blacks clear favourites, but it has been crunched in a little bit since last week's game. All Blacks $1.25, England $3.70. This is what it should have been last week, to be fair. Those odds were completely disrespectful, but who am I to complain? We were on All Blacks 1 to 12, so we made the most of the bookies just being a little bit off the mark. So the line for this game is 10.5. The most popular winning team in margin bet is All Blacks 13 plus at $2.15, but the 1 to 12 is only $2.60 this week, so it's definitely a little bit tighter. My best bets here, the ones that I like All Blacks 13 plus at $2.15. I like the All Blacks total points scored overs of 30.5 at $1.82, and then I also like the All Blacks total tries to be scored over 3.5 at $1.70. Your try scorers, they haven't been named yet, the team, so it's hard to say, but I do think Cody Taylor needs to deliver for me here for that top try scorer bet. He'll be stinging off the back of a poor shift last week, so surely he laces it up, trucks nut, scores off a rolling maul. Otherwise, I think Mark Talia, he could split them open. He was dangerous last week, and I don't mind Skipper Scotty either. As an outsider, no doubt he'll be paying good odds. Roll up the sleeves, barge over the line, close. Big body, hard to stop, especially with momentum. Then for your other games, I like Aussie 13 plus over Wales. I think they scratched off that rust last week. $2, that's some good coin. South Africa 1 to 12 against Ireland. I think that one will be tight again. And at $2.60, that's good buying. And then I like France, plus 8.5 against Argentina. That's paying $1.50. I was surprised to see Argentina favourites again at home, despite looking pretty average, and France getting the win. win last week by 10 points, I think it was. So the French could be good money again head to head, but if you do expect an Argentinian response, then plus 8.5, that's a good line, $1.50. A nice little option to chuck on your multis as a bit of an odds booster. So if you multi those 4 games up for a bit of an oval ball, mega multi-buster on your international code, All Blacks 13 plus, Aussie 13 plus, South Africa 1 to 12, France plus 8.5, $16.77. Pretty juicy stuff there, and certainly something to consider for your weekend's bets. My best bet of the week, speaking of something you should consider, 14 from 19 on these now. Warriors plus 5.5 last week, saluted. Glad I didn't take them head to head after the great robbery. Playing the line was smart stuff. So this week, I'll walk the line yet again. All Blacks minus 10.5, $1.87. Say Lessie Ray RC. Then for your multi, I'm going All Blacks 13 plus, Tommy Talau to score at juicy odds, and then David Fafita, chicken fajitas across as well. $13.41, tenner on that, $134.10. Hopefully, we just bank that one in the kitty. Go again next week, ready for Mad Monday, Mudbrick Monday for the mighty coat, post a big grand final win. We soon shall see, but I think those are some pretty good tips there, so hopefully you agree, and if you jump on as we win, feel free to fire through your slips. Love seeing nothing more than the punters getting up. Bloody good stuff. That's us for another week, another one in the box. Huge semi-final, starting to get ramped up for that one, so can't wait to rip and tear on the Saturday Arvo. Again, if you're not up to much, feel free to come down to the coat, Harvey Wright, watch some grassroots footy. Without the roots, there is no tree, so get around it, support your local clubs, and if you're participating in any sport this weekend as well, then good luck to you, unless you play for Takapuna. As always, shout out to the TAB, really appreciate their support, and if you having a punt this weekend, please do so responsibly, but do it at the TAB. And shout out to Better Beer as well. She's the ultimate zero carb beer, only 87 calories. So if you're having a beer this weekend, head along to your local bottle-o, grab yourself a box of Better Beer. It comes in your cans or your bottles, so whatever your preference, they've catered to you. I'll be cracking open a few post-game, win or lose, on the booze. So cheers to Better Beer. Go well. I'll catch you next Thursday, post-Origin. Up the ABs, up the mighty New South Wales Blues. Enjoy your weekend. How good.